Amichai, I want you to stay on for just 1 minute, because my next guest is someone who the whole country respects. Is probably India's most prominent public intellectual. And he's joining me now. He's the chairman of the Vivekananda International Foundation. He's a legendary journalist, legendary thinker, and great geostrategist. And my next perspective to him, and he joins us right now, Mr. Gurumurthy. Mr. S. Gurumurthy is joining us from Chennai. And my next section, Amichai, and by the way, Mr. Gurumurthy, our first guest, I just was introducing him to you. Amichai Chikli is Minister for Diaspora Affairs of Israel. And he was ending his conversation with a deep sense of respect for the way in which Mr. Narendra Modi spoke in the Knesset. And he said that it's a great, there's a strong emotional bond that he himself felt as a minister when he was there in the cabinet. So would you like to say something to him, and then we'll switch? So Amichai, I just wanted to introduce you because this conversation flows from what you're saying.
Namaste.
My next subject with Mr. Gurumurthy was about whether there's a silver lining in this for India. Would you like to say something to the minister before we start our one-to-one conversation? Mr. Gurumurthy, please.
Actually, these two are two ancient civilizations. And I have pursued the history of Israel, ancient and modern. And my spiritual guru, Kanchi Mahaswami, always told me that India and Israel must come together. When we were poles apart, we didn't even have a proper relationship with them. And Swami Dayananda Saraswati, who headed the Hindu Dharma Acharya Sabha, entered into an MOU with the Jewish rabbinate. They both agreed that Hinduism and the Jewish religion, they agree on a God who has no form. Our God is Brahman, their God is formless. They signed an MOU that the forms in the Hindu pantheon is not Hinduism. It is only a step to understand a formless God. This MOU was signed in 2008 in Tel Aviv, and that is how the civilizational relationship between the two nations began growing. And after 2014, it took a geopolitical form, and now it has become between two old civilizations coming together in the contemporary world to face common danger. Both of us face danger from Islamic fundamentalism and terrorism. Okay, so I was listening to his exposition to you, and I'm extremely happy that Israel has initiated this move. And I will not be arrested by the war theater, and I will go into what it has exposed the world to. So
yes.
I would
may I just thank him before we can carry on with you. So Amichai, this is so interesting. And while I am often cynical of war and its immediate consequences, I don't believe regime change can immediately happen. Let me say this to you, Amichai, that there is a lot of sympathy and empathy for Israel's position and your war against Islamist and jihadi terrorism. So in that sense, you have our full support. I thank you very much, Mr. Minister. We'll remain in touch. Thank you very much,
We
sir.
feel the same.
Yes,
we
please.
see what's going on with Pakistan. We are fighting the same vicious and evil radical ideologies. Same vicious and radical ideologies. We are two ancient nations, two peaceful nations, but we need to be very, very strong because our enemies are very serious. May God bless India. And thank you for this wonderful interview. It was really, I'm really happy that I was introduced to this outstanding intellectual and to yourself. So, namaste.
Thank you. Namaste. Namaste, Amichai. We'll be in touch. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Hi.
Ladies and gentlemen, today's section I have with Mr. Gurumurthy is simple. Is there a silver lining for India? My dear viewers, I would request all of you to follow Mr. Gurumurthy's threads and retweets on X. Now, he puts it in a larger context. And I believe, Mr. Gurumurthy, that you have tweeted that one of the biggest takeaways of this ongoing war is that Wahhabism, which Saudis funded, which virtually destroyed the internal peace and communal harmony in many ways within India, is now under challenge. Is that the silver lining for India in your view?
See, actually, if you move away from the war theatre, I won't be arrested by the war theatre, which is a day-to-day occurrence, who gains what and all that. But what is the takeaway from what has happened? Nobody planned it.
Yeah.
For example, this entire thing started with Iran proclaiming for the last 4 decades death to America and death to Israel. If a country keeps on saying this, how do you expect Israel or America to view Iran with any sense of friendliness? This is the first point. Then the Hamas attack was an attempt to execute this idea. And that is how the whole war started. And so this war is not a new war. It is a continuation. And this war was inevitable. If it doesn't happen today, it will happen at some time later. So I will not be arrested by this war theatre at all. And I will go into what this has exposed. When US and Israel attacked Iran, it said it is Islam versus US and Israel. But the very next day, Iran began attacking all the Muslim countries. And they happen to be Sunni Muslim countries, Islamic countries. A Shia Islamic country attacking Sunni Islamic country brings about a paradigm shift, because these Sunni Islamic countries are already fighting Islamic terror, and you are now attacking them, which means US plus the Sunni Islamic nations which are fighting Islamic terror on the one hand, and Iran with all the terrorist groups on the other, is the formulation today. This is precisely what India would love the world to encounter. Such a thing could never have happened by any geopolitical formulation or any geopolitical strategy. It happens only from hidden forces of history suddenly act, because the hidden intentions come out in a situation like this. So what Iran said as Islam versus the rest, Islam itself destroyed that concept and turned it into Islam which wants to fight Islamic terror, to ally with US and Israel against Iran, which has allied with all the Islamic terror groups. And now, in this, the most important difficulty is faced by Pakistan, which is partly gripped by Islamic terror, influenced by Islamic terror, and which used Islamic terror to fight India. And it is now being asked by Saudi Arabia, now you attack Iran. Pakistan has openly supported Iran. And now Saudis are asking Pakistan to attack Iran. Can there be anything more that India could ask? The more difficulty Pakistan is in, the more advantageous the situation for India. Particularly when Pakistan is in difficulty because of its own Islamic ecosystem, where its duplicity is getting exposed. This is an important takeaway for India. Another thing, look at how Israel and India coming together has resulted in another geopolitical advantage. Prime Minister Modi makes a huge impact on Israel. And of course, this has not come about in one day. There is a history of a decade behind it. and he requests Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu to support Afghanistan, which is fighting Pakistan and which is fighting Islamic ISIS within Afghanistan. And Israel agrees to give an aid package. Would anything more India would want? Now you have to set it in the background of how the world order has changed in the last 5 years. Now there is no common good for which all nations are joining together, including environment. No trade, no economic issues on which are common issues on which the world is working together. Every nation is for itself today. It has to work out its own friends. It has to work out its own bilateral and plurilateral trade arrangements.
Yes.
America has declared that it is for America is for America. And how can India say that it will stand for some other country which is not in its interest today?
No,
So
the
India
battle
has
for
to-
oil, the battle for oil, Mr. Gurumurthy, is making this war now global because, as you have also retweeted, I think from the Islander, now the Iranians are very strategically hitting pipelines which carry Azerbaijani crude across the Caucasus. That has been targeted. So it will create an oil shortage for Israel. The pipeline that has been hit will affect 30% of Israel's oil. So this tells me that there is a strategic mind, regardless of the impression Pete Hegseth and Donald Trump and Marco Rubio want to give. There is somebody in Israel taking extremely cold strategic decisions in this battle for oil. However, I want to go back to your commentary on Pakistan, sir. Sir, there are 5 reasons I believe Pakistan, the situation is volatile. Number 1, Pakistan's geopolitical utility is under question. Maybe for the first time in 50 years, there's a major conflict and they have no role. Their utility for America is under question. They have no role for America. They can't afford to take a role. As you say, they're also being threatened by Iran. And they are facing relentless attack by the Afghans and the Baluchis. Sir, you have tweeted that Pakistan has leveraged on falling on Trump's feet in Operation Sindoor with the Saudis. Now that scene has changed. It can't fool the Middle East, which is Sunni fighting Shia, and they will get crushed in the Shia-Sunni war. Sir, to add to that, they have not done anything to defend Saudi's strategic interests, despite having an agreement signed recently for mutual military assistance if either country is targeted. What do you think they will do? Will they just sit here and do nothing? Will they be like Switzerland in this whole case? And how can we take advantage of this for our long-standing objective vis-a-vis Pakistan?
See, I will put it in 3 silos. Saudis felt that America may not be able to defend them against Israel. They felt that they should somehow work out an arrangement with Iran.
Yeah.
They moved even with Turkey to bring about some kind of arrangement with Iran. It actually meant their confidence in America was getting reduced. And since Pakistan is a nuclear power, they thought it is better to have an arrangement with Pakistan. So if anything happens to Saudi Arabia, Pakistan will step in as a partner. This entire thing changed because of the outcome of this first day of this war itself, where Iran, for no reason, after having declared it is a war between Islam and the West, that is America and Israel, it began attacking in the guise of attacking the American bases. It began attacking the nations which and their infrastructure and even their hotels and turned the war into what I told you as a war with Iran and the terrorist group and extremism on the one hand, and those Muslim nations which are fighting it on the other, aligning with America. So this has put Israel and Arabic nations on the one side, which means the threat that Saudi Arabia faces is not from Israel today. It is facing from Iran. And there is a historical basis for this. And so the pact between Saudi Arabia and Pakistan has become irrelevant. That is why they are testing Pakistan. Say you attack, because you are a partner, you attacked Iran, which Pakistan cannot. If it attacks Iran, Pakistan will be on fire. So that is, Pakistan is not being reduced to irrelevance. It is being put in a corner from where Pakistan may not survive as a nation. So it is not that it will become a Switzerland. Number two, Pakistan is facing a war with on both sides. And if, as the Pakistan president says,
Next
India
insight,
will also do something against Pakistan, where will Pakistan be? And so the entire foundation of Pakistan is at risk. It won't be Switzerland. Another thing, so far as this oil is concerned, precisely what Ukraine did, that has happened to the oil pipelines in Middle East. Now the entire Europe is looking to Russia for gas supplies, oil supplies. The sanctions of America against Ukraine, against Russia, are bound to collapse. India will now buy oil from Russia because the war has been started by America. America cannot question India or even Europe. Where are you going for oil or gas supplies to Europe? And so it has brought about a fundamental shift even in the Ukraine war. Impact is so multi-divisional. It will require some time even to grasp the changes that are taking place in the world.
Mr. Gurumurthy, my last question was on those lines. You see, the Strait of Hormuz is carrying most of these global oil shipments. If this chokes, should we use the opportunity to quietly tell the Americans, let us resume our oil trade with Russia, at least for the short term, rather than face an oil crisis? Can we therefore leverage the situation and continue to fortify our oil relationship with Russia? Because that way we can balance both sides, the Russians, while giving strategic support, at least in some way, to the Americans and the Israelis, standing with them, but continue our relationship, our fuel and oil diplomacy with Russia. Is it possible to do that, given the present situation?
You see, we have not committed to America that we will not buy oil from Russia. We have said we will diversify our sources.
Yeah.
And we will buy from you also. We will buy from Venezuela.
Can I have the guess?
And we are buying from Middle East. Let's assume this Middle East supply stops. Where will you go for supplies? And so India is bound to buy oil from Russia. And what Americans can do, can they go back to imposing the tariffs? Let them do it. This is the situation in which India will place America, because America is not in a position to act unilaterally. And America is also under pressure from this war. And even Israel will not like America to alienate India to the extent to which Trump had alienated. And another, there is a soft corner for Russia in the American mind. In fact, America has alienated the European nations because it is supposed to be looking at Russia for whatever reason. They say economic reasons are there, reasons of natural resources are there, but there is a soft corner which America has for Russia. And now, if Russian oil or gas is to flow to Europe, which is the only way to save Europe, then America cannot object to India buying oil from Russia. So my feeling is our oil security can be supported, supplemented, and will indeed be supplemented by our buying oil from Russia.
Well, Mr. Gurumurthy's understanding, therefore, is that we have to weigh our options very closely. There is a silver lining. Ladies and gentlemen, that, he says, is a big takeaway, that Wahhabism, which has hurt India, has been weakened considerably. And viewers, my takeaway from hearing Mr. Gurumurthy is watch the situation in Pakistan with as much interest as the situation in the Middle East. I thank you, Mr. Gurumurthy. It's always very useful to get your unique perspective on history-defining moments like this. I thank you very much, sir, for joining me.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.